Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Sorry guys, I just shat out of dog.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
Alright, I'm gonna start. Move to lobby 1, Radiant Dire.
Hello everybody, this is Briefcase bringing you another North American ESP game. I am here trying to broadcast it and just trying to tinker with my settings a little bit this time around, and hopefully my camera will be, at least my camera work will be a little bit better this time around, and I'm just going to be basically recording this just to check levels as well, so a little bit of a tester game for me, but nonetheless gonna be casting it all the same and hopefully getting some nice play. Of course, 6.79, the new patch is out now, and I am just so excited to see people play this, I must admit. So right off the bat, banning a Weaver. He was actually not really buffed in this last patch. Lifestealer being banned out now as well. Just two of the stronger carries, and also two of the carries that are kind of hard to actually take out when it comes right down to it. Both of them can be very slippery. Weaver just gets planted in the off lane usually, and he's very hard to actually take down, mostly because of time lapse. It's almost like a second life, and Lifestealer, conversely, very hard to take down because of Infest. If things go a little bit south, things don't go especially your way, you just pop into a creep, get all the way home. A lot of the times, especially early game where you're tower diving, you just get into a creep and then you'll pretty much be able to ride it all the way home, or at the very least to a creep line. It gives you lots of time for your friends to actually come back. But now it looks like this Radiant team has banned out Nyx Assassin. He wasn't really buffed. In fact, he was nerfed this patch, so I'm not sure really why they're banning him, and now the Dire team also banning out Visage as well, who's also tremendously nerfed in this last patch. So it still seems like just banning out the same heroes that they were in the 6.78 patch. So nonetheless, now they have picked up a Lich. There it is. He has been buffed tremendously in this patch. I wouldn't say game breaking, but with Sacrifice's new mechanic now, where it actually levels up Lich and gives him the experience, it is very hard to stop him from actually getting that early 6, and then with that early 6 you can really force a lot of team fights with Chain Frost, which was actually recently buffed as well, not in the last patch, but couple of times ago. Now it has 10 jumps instead of 7 jumps, so of course just doing all that much more damage, almost twice, or no, I shouldn't say twice, almost 33% more damage, I would say. And now Batrider and Vengeful Spirit being picked up by I Love Russian Girls, this Radiant team. Batrider, of course, an all-around good hero. He was nerfed in the last patch as well. Still very nice, but of course only time will tell. Vengeful Spirit, a perfect counter to Batrider, and now can actually use Blink Dagger, and would love to see a mid-Venge go Blink and really have some fun shenanigans this time around. The Dire team, however, has picked up an Abaddon themselves, more likely than not in response to Batrider. Abaddon, a very strong support in and of himself, got a little bit nerfed, at the very least. Doom got buffed this patch against him, which really it should have happened, or it should have been that way all the time. But nonetheless, Abaddon being picked up, and of course the Photic Shield still does render Batrider a little bit crippled, but you do need to be in range of that, and a Photic Shield's range actually isn't that far, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to look in the game though to see that little area of cast range, but nonetheless, I Love Russian Girls has banned out Queen of Pain and Dragon Knight. It looks like they don't want to give up a fairly strong mid, or at least not one that might be able to dive someone like Vengeful Spirit. Puck, of course, is still in the pool. Vengeful can hold her own, I think, against Puck, unless he gets a nice silence off, and then all she can pretty pretty much do is wee all the way home. The Dire team now has banned out Rubik. Oh, so sad to see him go. Absolutely my favorite hero. And now with an Ags upgrade that is probably one of the best in the whole game. All I want to see is mid Rubik getting that Ags early and just commanding team fights and just throwing out 3 ults a team fight. Oh baby, that's all I want to see. Nonetheless, the Dire team also having to ban out Prophet as well, just not wanting to give up even more mobility to this already fairly mobile team with Batrider. If Vengeful Spirit does go mid or does get at least a little bit of farm and picks up a Blink Dagger, then could be an incredibly scary mobile team. Nonetheless, not sure exactly who this Dire team is going to pick up at the moment. Another support, it looks like. This could be a carry Abaddon in our midst or a carry Nagasiren. Probably not a carry Lich, but more likely than not an early, maybe off lane Lich, an early 6, and then force those team fights. But I have seen Abaddon used as a carry fairly effectively if there is the lineup to protect him, of course. And now, I Love Russian Girls picking up an Alchemist of their own. Not sure how I feel about that. Of course, now he is, along with this Gyrocopter, there are their 2 carries, bar none. But Alchemist was recently nerfed in this patch as well. He no longer gains a huge amount of bonus HP whenever he uses his ult. He gains a massive amount of HP regen, meaning that he has gone from being able to just absorb a lot of burst, or a lot more burst, and being far tankier, to really loving sustained team fights. And I would personally love to see Alchemist picked up with somebody like a Bristleback who really loves sustaining team fights. Maybe someone like a Leshrac who also likes to be in the midst of things as well. But nonetheless, Alchemist could fall fairly easily, at least to the burst that is already on the field. Lich's ult could just be his undoing. He will regen a lot of HP in between those bounces, but I don't know if it will be good enough. Of course, Nagasiren and Abaddon, not 2 heroes you really see who have a lot of burst. A Photic Shield bursting with a Mist Coil is quite a bit of damage in and of itself, but it's not what you think of when you think of massive burst. Not like Lion, not like Lina, and now this Dire team has picked up a Faceless Void, recently buffed as well. His Chronosphere got a little bit bigger, and I think that that's about it. You can now stack, I think that Backtrack you could always stack Evasion on it, so not really a big difference there, but I believe Chronosphere was buffed ever so slightly in its just size at the moment. So now exactly who will this Radiant team ban out with their last one? If they are going to be running Vengeful Spirit mid, which I absolutely hope that they do, they are going to really want to take out pretty much all the strong mid heroes available. Lich can be very annoying as a mid as well, of course, and they have banned out Elder Titan. He was nerfed as well this patch, but now it does really seem like they want to make this lane wide open for Vengeful Spirit or possibly Batrider. I have seen an Alchemist run mid as well, oddly. Really, any of these heroes can be run mid, especially in this patch where everybody wants to try out all these new things, see how they all work, and see just how effective every hero can be in a different lane and in a different role nowadays as well. Lich mid I would love to see, and might even be the case, especially considering that Abaddon, Nagasiren, Faceless Void would be a fairly strong defensive tri-lane. And now this Dire team has, I think, smartly banned out the Darkseer. He was recently nerfed for his vacuum to cooldown, is now much greater. Nonetheless, however, having a Faceless Void, he is one of the stronger carries who can go up against Ion Shell spam just because of Backtrack, but nonetheless can be very annoying to lane up against when you're trying to get that farm, and pretty much you'd get dealt 100 damage just for trying to get a last hit. It can be very frustrating to be that hero. Now, I Love Russian Girls, this Radiant team, who exactly will they pick up? They pick up a Magnus, actually, and he has been run as a mid in the past, of course, when Bottle Crowing was at its height, but not so much anymore, and in this last patch, Bottle Crowing was nerfed even harder, so I don't see him being run as a mid, or at the very least, I hope he is not run as the mid. I want a Vengeful Spirit in that mid, just guaranteed, getting that Blink Dagger, and then if you can get a Vengeful Spirit up, maybe a level 11, even level 6, just having the possibility of a swap into Blink, and then one person is completely out of position, not to mention the ability for Batrider to take somebody out of the fight as well. We might be seeing some amazing shenanigans, but now an Invoker picked up by this Dire team. Probably my absolute, I shouldn't say absolute favorite hero, one of my favorite mid heroes as well. Just recently started picking him up, learning how to play as him, of course, and it's none too bad, I have to say. And now, was recently buffed as well, and if an Invoker is going up against someone like a Vengeful Spirit, I would have to give that lane to an Invoker, but nonetheless, interesting to see exactly where each person will go, since no one is really certain at this one point. So, introductions. Who do we have playing who? We have Morphine as the Naga Siren. Valiant will be playing the Invoker. Midinoche as Lich. Final will be playing Faceless Void. And Splendid Daddy, Bracket Patch Adams, is going to be the Abaddon. Now if we look down here on this Radiant side, we have Oddnob playing as the Vengeful Spirit. We have Cubes Bubbles as the Batrider. Hebe is going to be playing the Gyrocopter. Lex as Magnus. Lex the Tryout, of course. He's got to prove his mettle. And we have a Sky playing as Alchemist. Looks like he's going bot, and he should be having an okay time there, especially with his laning partner of Vengeful Spirit. That is a dual stun. The start of a fairly scary, aggressive tri-lane if that's how they want to go, but more likely than not, I don't think so. We do have Abaddon as well as Midinoche going to this bot lane. Midinoche, of course, wants to, as Lich, start way up here. He has gotten that sacrifice, wants to start way up here at the top of this lane. As soon as the creep spawn, he wants to get that sacrifice. He wants to get him and his friend as much experience as possible using that sacrifice before they have to go in lane. And hopefully he will be using that. Has actually picked up brown boots first. Have not seen this since the pub days of Dota 1 where people thought it was a good build. Nonetheless, he will be used to harass quite effectively, I should think. But against this tri-lane bot, especially if Hebe wants to, he has gone Rocket Barrage, this can be an incredibly scary tri-lane. Oddnob does pick up this double damage, and now if this, of course, off lanes, the creep wave has moved, so now it's a little bit safer. It's more along the lines of right around here, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, there he goes. Let me draw, if I'm not mistaken. Which means that Hebe and Oddnob, as well as a Sky, will have to really play this well, and I think a Sky will more likely than not have to pick up an unstable concoction to really deal with this. And now they are trying to get Splendid Daddy. Oddnob does pop his, there is a Rocket Barrage coming out. Hebe, a Photic Shield though, getting some of that damage. Can they get that last hit? And there's the first blood by a Sky, Hebe, and Oddnob. And this aggressive tri-lane up against a dual lane, this is usually what you want to see happening. All you do is you sit back, you farm heroes, and pretty much all day long, and you can just have a fairly good time doing that, I must say. As far as the mid is concerned, it looks like both heroes missing out on quite a few last hits. Valiant only is at 3. Of course, we're only 1 creep wave down. He is getting far more denies, however, to Lex in the mid, and I'm not sure how this lane is going to go for this Magnus. I mean, when it comes right down to it, Valiant is a ranged hero already, has opted to actually not get Invoke at level 2, so he's not trying to get any sort of early game shenanigan harassed down, but once he does get Cold Snap, he is going to be such a nuisance for Lex, of course, all day long. And it looks like Cubes Bubbles, the off-lane bat, is trying to contest this, and he will be doing a fairly good job here because pulling has gotten nerfed, I must say. You have Morphine, and now Morphine as well as this bat are going to be basically splitting all this experience. This bat using Firefly not too effectively, is actually falling fairly low. That Ghost doing quite a bit of damage. And of course, while these creeps are dying to the bat, he will get that gold. That experience is actually going to also go to Final and Morphine. No longer are the days where you can just pull, steal all the experience, or hope that a neutral kills your creep, thus resulting in no experience gained by anybody. Now it looks like Sky and Oddnob are doing fine, just fine. Bot, it looks like Gyro is actually pulling. Maybe just trying to make sure that he gets a little bit more farm than Oddnob, realizing that Oddnob as well as a Sky will have a better time in this bottom lane trying to find kills without gyro, at least if they're trying to get a dual lane going, and they already do indeed have that kill up against this dual lane, so they should be doing fine, just fine. And if they can keep their level advantage, which it looks like they do, well, sort of have, Uskai is doing fine, just fine against Splendid Daddy, is actually above Abaddon's experience, whereas Vengeful Spirit, Oddnob, he's actually at Abaddon. So the level's quite equal in this lane, but you do have this Gyrocopter here who's actually only level 1. That just goes to show you how little experience the jungle now really gives. And now if we look at this mid, Valiant is doing fine. He's got 11 last hits, beating this Magnus's 10. And now it looks like Magnus is harassing him down quite a bit, though, with that Shockwave. And he's actually, Valiant opted to get a Blades of Attack and Boots early. He does not have that much regen. He does have Cold Snap now and Sunstrike available. And now a very nice early smoke coming out from this Naga Siren, and wouldn't be surprised if he's going to really try and use this to get some nice kills. Of course, Smoke was incredibly buffed, and now there is the Flying Courier. Lex looks like he does have his bottle now. There is no Courier flying basically and bottle for the 2-minute rune, which really does nerf bottle crowing, but nonetheless, it's like it's a normal game now, and Valiant does not have a bottle of his own coming whatsoever. As Invoker, you don't always want that. You can be fine, just getting as many last hits as you possibly can, but now Invoker, with having 2 spells at level 3, and pretty much before level 8, I think was the previous time when you could get Invoke, you can actually gank a little bit more now if you want to. Splendid Daddy and Midinoche doing their very best to try and harass Sky out of this lane. He has opted to go the greedy build. 2 points in Greevil's greed, of course, means that this Alchemist wants to get as many big items as soon as possible. Hebe not really finding the farm you want on your Gyro, but it looks to be far more like a support Gyro. Might want to go Ags and get those cooldowns across the entire map. But now, Lex does have that rune control. He has picked up a regen rune, and that is not going to be a good sight for Valiant. He is going to get harassed pretty much constantly. However, Lex did not get there in time for that second rune to spawn, so no chances out of that one. And it looks like Cube's Bubble's doing exactly what he should be doing, just staying within range of these neutral creeps, and as soon as they do die, he doesn't get the last hits for it, but he does indeed get the experience. And now it looks like Sky and Oddnob, or at the very least Sky, getting harassed just mercilessly, and Midinoche as well as Splendid Daddy doing their very best, actually using Mist Coil to do the damage instead. And now it looks like they are trying to just zone Cube's Bubbles out of this. He does have Firefly available, but he can't get too many stacks up on Final, and he has to be worried at least a little bit of that time lock that will happen, which actually can get quite a bit of damage and a little bit out of hand. But now there are quite a few stacks on Final, and he's gonna have to run home. Was already at 236 movement speed, so slow. And now it looks like Oddnob and a Sky going to try and get Splendid Daddy. A Photic Shield will pop. Oddnob does get the last hit again, and there is a Sunstrike going down. Sky getting caught out. However, Hebe running in. It looks like Midinoche might actually get a little bit of a missile in his face. Let's see if it is actually going to get there. Indeed, it does not look like it. Oh, it does indeed, but it is not a high level by any means. And now Magnus Lex has popped that regen. When you do have regen available when it's going, you want to spam those spells. You want to throw out those shockwaves, especially right now where he could, or especially right then when he could have gotten at least a few last hits, probably could have harassed Valiant a little bit more. Valiant, though, is picking up this double damage, and interested to see if he's going to make much use of this. The Radiant team does not have a ward here, so this bat is flying blind, at least blinder than a bat normally would be. He does have Firefly and try and go away. They do get an ensnare, though. Firefly will go off. Sunstrike does hit, and now that is an easy pickoff for this Dire team. That bat just was unaware, was not paying too close attention. And now, that is not what you want to see as a bat. That will delay his Blink Dagger by at least a few more minutes, and that's not at all what you want to see.
Tower is under attack.
Looks like Askai, he is trying to get these creeps as best he can. It does look like Hebe is indeed going support Gyro here, and he is doing the pull-throughs, not too effectively though, I might add. They are going to stack up now, these 2 lanes, or I should say, yeah, 2 waves of creeps, and that's going to push it right back all the way down to the tower. Is Midinoche level 6? He has indeed hit that Final is level 6 now as well, and they are looking to get some big kills here. Hebe completely out of position, gets a nice time lock as well. Sunstrike doesn't even have to be used, and no ult's being used yet either, and now they must see Uskai has stunned himself. All they gotta do is get in there. Does he have a TP available? He does indeed. Will there be a time lock? They can't see him. He opts to actually chrono and can actually go for the kill, but he's not gonna be getting away now. Not with that TP already being canceled by the chrono. It now looks like we have Nagasiren, Morphine trying to set up a little bit of a gank on this Magnus mid. Of course, Lex does have reverse polarity available. It can be very difficult to actually gank him. But now, Invoker, Valiant having a lot of base damage. Magnus is not going to be winning this war. He does get the skewer off. Where is it? He does not actually have enough mana for reverse polarity. Does not matter in the slightest. And there, with that, it looks like this gyrocopter has scouted him out a regen rune, and that's exactly what you want as a Magnus with a bottle, especially one where bottle crowing has been nerfed a little bit, and Magnus is actually getting fairly close to that Blink Dagger, which will open this game wide open. I'm not sure if we're ever going to see Oddnob with a Blink Dagger this game. He is just not getting any amount of farm priority whatsoever. And now with that kill and Lex's ability to actually get a little bit ahead, he is doing fine in the last. He's actually beating Invoker by 6 at the moment. And if we look at the difference in one moment, I believe, there it is, hero level, we actually see that this Radiant team, their gyro, their support gyro is actually woefully under-leveled at the moment. 2 levels behind all the other supports. That's not what you want to see happen. Final, though, with the Photic Shield, getting a free, easy kill on Uskai, it looks like. And now Hebe overstaying his welcome as well. There is a stun on Final, however. And now Lich, Midinoche, getting a double kill. While that's all happening, it looks like Lex as well as Oddnob finding a pick-off of their own, getting Invoker's head. And looks like a fairly long dive for them, going all the way up here. Morphine, of course, not quite level 6 yet. No Nagasong available at the moment to try and guarantee his buddy getting away. And now Final has a rocket coming at him. No unstable concoction being pulled out, though. And Midinoche still has ult available. He's just waiting for a Sky and Hebe to get a little bit out of position. Does get stunned. Hebe realizing his mistake. And now Midinoche having an Aphotic Shield available. Is Final's ult up? It is indeed. All they need to do is land one of these, and both of those heroes are definitely going to fall. Final really wants to throw out this, but he doesn't want to hit Midinoche falling. He does get the Chain Frost off perfectly, though. Oddnob, and now everybody melting to this Chain Frost. There it is, all those bounces. Final, Lich getting a double kill, Faceless getting his own, and now Hebe running for his very life. Looks like Splendid Daddy getting his own kill as well, and after that, we see that this gold graph is going at least a little bit more in favor of the Dire. It does indeed look like the Radiant team has been able to find the farm a little bit more than the Dire team, whereas the Dire team doing a little bit better in experience, but nonetheless, that's going to at least put this gold graph more in favor of the Dire. And there's that valley, there's that peak, but now it's going to go in favor of the Dire. And not only that, I wouldn't be surprised
Bottom tower is under attack.
if we see that this, oh, there it is. I've changed some of my controls for the stats drop-down menu. Now it's all my number keys. It's no longer all the letters, and I just got to get a little bit more used to it. Because I'm, of course, using those arrow keys now to use the camera at least a little bit better, a little bit smoother. Nonetheless, however, I think that's going to definitely rocket up that net worth of this Dire team. And Uskai just completely unaware. They don't have vision here. They only have this sentry available, which, of course, doesn't provide vision around it anymore. So Uskai needs to be very, very careful here. One big... There's the ensnare now. Final wants to go in. A Sunstrike falling as well. And now, will he be able to stun them and get away? He does pop his ult, giving him a lot of regen, of course. How much is it? It is 50 at the first level. And of course, while Song of the Storm's up, he's pretty much at max health already. It is just so hard to take down an Alchemist while he has his ult on, especially early. But in comes the bat. In comes Hebe. Oddnob is here as well. It looks like there is no blink. There is a blink on a bat. He is going to catch out Final. Morphle getting unstable concoction as well. He's not going to get out of this one. Final, you're going to have to make some money backtracks here, my friend. Oddnob getting the swap, and there's the stun. And there he does indeed fall as well. Splendid Daddy running for his life, realizing he's in a little bit of a precarious position, but you do have Alchemist stunning himself. His ult is almost, now it is indeed off of cooldown. Midinoche, no Chain Frost available at the moment. And while this is all happening, Valiant is farming all day long in the mid. Now he's at 43 last hits. If we look at the net worths, he's actually third in place, so doing none too bad. Has actually opted to go for that Hand of Midas, and I must admit, very, very late of a Hand of Midas for an Invoker. Not sure exactly when he did actually pick that up. Nonetheless, if you can get it pre-6, all the better. If you can get it pre-10, that's about the edge. As soon as you start going a little bit beyond 10 minutes, it doesn't get that much worth it. Nonetheless, this Dire team, they are prepared to go into the very late game, especially considering you have a Void in your team. One of the hardest carries in the world has actually picked up a plate mail first, above all else. That is a lot of money to spend on something more likely than not going to be going Assault Cuirass with that one, but a very odd pickup as the first pickup as well. Now, indeed, with these 4 heroes on this Dire team in the mid, it looks like they will be going for a little bit of a push here. Of course, they do have Finals ult available if things get a little bit hairy for them, not to mention Midinoche's ult as well, so they almost hope that the rest of the Radiant team does get in here. Lex has opted actually not to pick up a Blink Dagger. A Skewerin does get a money RP on 3 giant swirling stun symbols. You better believe it. Q's Bubbles is here, taking Final completely out of the fight, but now a Chain Frost doing a lot of work, and now catching 3 in this. He needs to go for Bubbles, however. I'm not sure if you could see him with those trees there. Lex doing a little bit of work now. Chain Frost did not do full effectivity. It was not the end of the world, though. It looks like Lex indeed will fall. Odd Knob trying to do his best here as well, just getting a stun out on Final, and then that will be an easy mid tower. While that's all happening, you have a Sky up top, however, farming with a max level of Grievel's Greed, so he really does want to make up some of his farm at the moment. He's currently not even in the top 3. He's actually 6th with the Magnus as well as the Bat in front of him, and that is not how you want to play a carry Alchemist, or at least an Alchemist this greedy. And now it looks like he isn't actually going to get dove by any means by Faceless. Faceless is not going down here. He's not running down, and now it looks like Alchemist just popping down bot, realizing nobody's really there, and he's going to be trying to get some nice farm here. Will Valiant does actually not really have the mana to provide a lot of kills or utility here. It does look like Midinoche is going on him, though, harassing him down quite effectively. They do have a Cold Snap available, and now King of the Cold, these two, and he does overstay his welcome a whole lot. He's just like one of those guys. He's like, can I stay with you for a week? And he's there for a month. Pretty sure they made a whole movie about it with Owen Wilson. I heard it was terrible.
Tower is under attack.
Nonetheless, we have Odd Knob going down. There is, of course, they know that that was just planted, and that is some easy gold for any support that wants to take it. 50 gold now, in fact, for anybody who can go there and get that last hit, and they really do want to do that before this sentry does indeed fall away. Of course, sentries and observer wards lasting longer now. Not sure exactly how this Radiant team is doing, but now it looks like Lich getting that easy 50 GP, and that's exactly what you want. It's like Midinoche, his Chain Frost will be off of cooldown by the time that this Radiant team comes a rat-tackling on his door. And is there anything else to really set up these big ults? Morphine does indeed have Song of the Siren available. Valiant, though, of course, now getting that Chaos Meteor up. Final, of course, has Chronosphere as well. And Morphine just needs to set it up with a beautiful Song of the Siren. And now he does indeed pop it. It looks like Sky will be stunning himself this time. And they will go for that one at least. No stun, of course, because of it. And now it looks like Final catching all 3. There's the Chain Frost. There's the Sunstrike. There is everything. Lex, oh, very beautiful bounces on this as well. And now it looks like a free 3 kills. Their tier 1 still stands. And Lex will have to run all the way. Well, Lex might not have to run all the way home, but indeed, Cubes Bubbles will be running all the way home as well. And now that is 3 free heroes. That is a free tier 2 as well. And if we look at this gold graph, this Dire team is now commanding this game in experience and in gold, up to about a 5,000 gold lead. Not massive by any means, and Final especially not so farmed that I would be absolutely terrified of him. Faceless does take a very long time to come online, unless you have Valiant throwing out alacrities on you all day long, but Valiant doing very, very well. Looks like he has started his build up to a force staff, which of course will make his team all that more resilient at ganks. And now it looks like with those 3 heroes down and them knowingly spread out across the map, Oddnob is up in this midsection. You have Sky up here as well. It looks like this Dire team wants to force the issue down here and try and take as many towers as possible. And with these Forge Spirits doing a lot of work here, of course, that is a big, big possibility. This tower now is within deny range. This Dire team, I'm sure, does not want to let that happen, but of course they have to back off. They don't want to contest this, knowing that the bat can always get them out there. And now it looks like Valiant has popped mid. He's finished his Force Staff. He's going for Oddnob. He will be stunned. He needs Forge Spirits out of this. He wants to get his Ice Wall, gets it off nicely. Oddnob is not getting out of this one. No stunning and running for him. An Invoker now getting a lot of free kills. A smoke was actually used by Morphine, however, and now they do want to set up another gank here. You do have Alchemist up top, however. Ace Guy picking off that tower. He is getting more farm. He has his Shadow Amulet, but he still doesn't even have his Shadow Blade. And now it looks like Midinoche getting some nice kills, however. Not even with a Chain Frost, just kill securing with that regular Frost Blast. And now with 2 heroes down, Gyrocopter, the support Gyro Venge as well, is back up, however. It looks like this Dire team really does want to force the issue, and completely rightly so. They have the far superior team fight, at least at this point in the game. Faceless ult is up. You have Valiant being able to throw out those meatballs all day long. Midinoche now, they also have just picked up a mechanism of their own, and that's going to make this a very nice, strong timing push. There is always Chain Frost available for people. A nice RP, but it only hits 2. Splendid Daddy actually is not. He's doing fine, just fine. And now a Song of the Siren used. Can Bubbles fall? He's not falling at the moment. I have to move down here. This smooth scrolling has been a little bit of an issue. It looks indeed. There's the Chain Frost, however. They want to spread. They can't quite do it. A Sky, though, getting caught out. There are some nice bounces. Not quite enough on a Sky, but he will fall to the Lich. And there it is, an Alchemist for an Abaddon. That is a good trade. Alchemist now indeed buying back. And now he's porting in. He wants to make something happen here. Of course, while you have bought back, you do not get any gold farm for however long you still had. Morphine, though, is caught out. He will fall, however. And it looks like we do have a Sky stunning himself once again. Not the end of the world, of course, with his ult being active. His regen is just so massive. 75 HP regen a second. That's more than most hearts will actually give you in any time of day. So Alchemist maybe not nerfed, maybe just changed a little bit, serves a slightly different purpose, but overall I think most people are considering that a nerf nowadays. Final will be getting this deny off on this tower here. And we have Valiant doing fine on the bot. He does have quite a bit of gold, might want to start getting that Ags. He has the essences now. Are they called essences? I want to say they're essences. Orbs. He has the orbs now to really throw out every one of his gamut, but instead is actually going for the drums of endurance, realizing he might be a little bit squishy. He just wants to get back all the way home, get that drums, get that TP scroll, and then would not be surprised if this Dire team really tries to force the issue once again, dive right down for that mid tower, of course, with the amount of nice ults. And it looks like Invoker picking up an easy free kill there with a Sunstrike on Gyrocopter. Did not see it happen. So sorry, folks. Didn't see him casting that. Didn't see it landing. Splendid Daddy putting down that cheeky ward. Of course, now this Dire team realizing that, I mean, there's still a tier 1 available for them to farm up. And of course, with Final here, with this Chronosphere, he does indeed have his assault coming to him. That's gonna make his life that much easier in these Chronos with that negative armor going to him. And overall, understandably, I can see why he gets an assault first. There is a lot of right-click damage, not too much magic damage when it comes down to it. But now some ports in. He's gonna want to time walk out of this one. He does have some stuns going. There it is. There's the RP as well. Is actually just getting a Photic Shield. There is a nice Chain Frost landing, hitting Bubbles so much. Is anybody porting in? Sky does it. Is it going to keep bouncing? It does indeed. Hits Hebe a couple times. Nonetheless, Magnus falling right. Quick cubes. Bubbles will get out of this with Firefly. However, they just do not quite have the speed. Sky wants to land this stun on a big target. Gets Midanoche with it. No problem whatsoever. And now they do pop it. He is going to get burnt by that meatball a little bit, and now Shadow Blade's his way to safety. They do know which way he's going. Do they have another way to reveal him? It does indeed not seem that way. They already throw down their sentry right here, but of course he was running back with that Shadow Blade. And now, of course, Shadow Blade nerfed very heavily in this last patch as well. I believe it went from 18-second cooldown, meaning that you were pretty much invisible 66% of the time, which I think everybody considered that maybe a bit too much. Now, indeed, it is a 28-second cooldown, so a very, very long time to be visible while you have that item.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Now, of course, everybody is indeed up for this Radiant team. Midanoche's ult, he has hit level 11, meaning that cooldown is not as fierce as it once was. It is not quite the level 16, level 3 Chain Frost cooldown that he so wants, though. With that 60-second cooldown, you can even throw it during some large and long team fights twice. Valiant, of course, now is using his Hand of Midas whenever he possibly can. If we look at these graphs once again, there's actually a little bit of a peak going for that Radiant team in the last 5 minutes, but nonetheless, with these constant team fights being completely decimated by this Dire team, they're coming out way ahead in experience and gold. And now, knowing that Finals ult, of course, is still up, they always have a Photic Shield available for them. Not to mention this Chaos Meteor, that meatball, and Morphine, his ult is actually down, so this is slightly more dangerous than they would originally have hoped. Nonetheless, this is going to be a completely free Roche as well. Midanoche's ult is up, and now they have to force this issue. Well, they don't have to, but they are going to force this issue again, or they should be. Having the Aegis, they have a mechanism, they have an assault cuirass, they have all the AoE ults in the world to guarantee it. And even if Final does get caught out, you spam that Mist Coil on him, you spam a Photic Shield on him, and he is just regenerating so much HP. He is taking so much, or he is not taking as much damage as you would think, especially with a Photic Shield being used. And always he's just backtracking all day long, guaranteeing that he really doesn't take that much. And now Song of the Siren, Morphine does get that invisibility rune, is scouting out just ever so slightly, seeing who is around here. And then, of course, they do not have any sentries down, they themselves being the one who has an invisible hero, I should say. And now it looks indeed like this Dire team does want to force the issue, as they should. Valiant does have the top amount of farm, just trying to use that Hand of Midas on pretty much everything humanly possible. And now they're more likely than not just waiting for Morphine's ult to get off of cooldown. It is indeed off cooldown, and now they should be forcing this. They realize Alk is up there, that he is nowhere to be seen around here. He does have a TP available, but now they really want to break this high ground. They see him TP back, and that might be enough for them. I believe that they should be going for this. However, they have the Aegis available. Alk is getting his own Assault Cuirass to counter Finals. Now he is getting stunned, not the end of the world, a Photic Shield on him to make sure that that stun gets off of him. And they really do want to push this before Alk can finish his own Assault Cuirass, which is really going to negate that armor loss from Finals. Just seems like they are maybe being fairly cautious here, maybe even too cautious when it comes right down to it. Maybe not. Lex's reverse polarity, of course, a very strong ability. Hebe has call down, a fairly strong AoE ability as well for these team fights, and always Cubes Bubbles is here, who can try and get a single person out, not to mention Oddnob's ability to bring somebody else in there as well. But you really do need to force these fights now, maybe realizing that the bottom lane is a little bit safer. If things get a little out of hand, you do have this high ground available for you very, very close to the front door. So overall, maybe a better choice, realizing that this lane has now pushed in as well. They do not have the best, as Dire team does not have the best is gonna, excuse me, does not have the best split pushing lineup by any means. They are all about the team fights. They absolutely love them. You have Chronosphere, which of course freezes everybody in place. You have Abaddon, loves sustained team fights, throwing out those aphotic shields and miscoils to keep your final alive all day long. Valiant can have Chaos Meter if he gets his Shockwave as well. That is a very scary and potent combo. He now does indeed have Ags, meaning that he's going to be throwing out spell after spell after spell, and you can even throw out those EMPs none too badly. And now they are trying to make a move. Morphine does pop in. He pops his Song of the Siren. He's trying to make something happen. They are going all on. A Sky gets a beautiful chrono now on a Sky, just guaranteed him. Oddnob though doing the selfless thing. A Sky still does fall, however, does buy back. He knows that they need to stop this. A lot of ults are on cooldown now, however. Pretty much every AoE one was indeed used, and now it does indeed look like they will get this tower. Only Oddnob is out of here, however, but that tower is so low. They need to be going for this. A Sky now has been cold snapped. He is having a hard time. No ult available on him. EMP being thrown down, but with only 1 point in this Wex Essence. That EMP takes absolutely forever to charge. 3.7 seconds. It is just an eternity. Final, of course, still has the Aegis. He doesn't have to be this cautious. I'm not sure why exactly they are backing. They get the tower, however. Maybe just waiting for their ults again. I think a little unnecessary, however. Final now getting caught out. Does get stunned. Not a lot of damage. And now they just want to pop this Aegis at the very least. Morphine, though, is going to fall here. Maybe not. A nice mechanism being used. Final, though, catching Lex out a little bit. He is getting stunned all day long. There will be an Alex stun thrown now soon as well. Hitting Morphine, but they can't quite kill him. A-Sky has been ensnared. He can't quite get out of there. They are popping the BKB. Do they have any way to detect him? Using that dust now, and now it looks like A-Sky will fall. However, with 65 seconds on his death clock, meaning he is not coming back, and of course that comes pretty much exactly from buying back. Now whenever you do buy back, it gives half of the time remaining, I think, onto your next death clock. There it is. There's the GG by Hebe. And I think in these matches, this Dire team simply having the better draft. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching my very first 6.79 game with smooth camera pan and some nice other camera options. So nonetheless, here's hoping the levels were none too bad. We shall see. Thanks for watching, everybody.